Why are our financial systems so hard to understand? My first quote to show this comes from John Kenneth Galbraith, former professor of economics at Harvard, and a Canadian-American economist.
The study of money, above all other fields in economics, is one in which complexity is used to disguise truth, or to evade truth, not to reveal it.
John Adams, second President of the United States, said this.
All the perplexities, confusions and distresses in America arise not from defects in the Constitution or Confederation, not from want of honor or virtue, as much as from downright ignorance of the nature of coin, credit and circulation.
Reginald McKenna, an English statesman, politician and chairman of the Midland Bank, said the following while addressing stockholders in 1924.
I am afraid the ordinary citizen will not like to be told that the banks can, and do create money. And they who control the credit of the nation direct the policy of governments, and hold in the hollow of their hand the destiny of the people.
Major L.B. Angus, 20th century investment consultant and former London broker.
The modern banking system manufactures money out of nothing, and the process is perhaps the most astounding piece of sleight of hand that was ever invented. In fact, it was not invented, it merely grew. Banks, in fact, are able to create and cancel modern deposit money, just as much as they were originally able to create, or call in, their own original forms of private notes. They can, in fact, inflate and deflate, i.e., mint and unmint the modern ledger entry currency, which we now call bank deposits.
From the Federal Reserve's own booklet titled, Modern Money Mechanics, published by the Chicago Federal Reserve Bank in 1994.
Commercial banks create checkbook money whenever they grant a loan, simply by adding new deposit dollars and accounts on their books, in exchange for a borrower's IOU.
Chris Martinson, Ph.D. from Duke University, MBA from Cornell, an economic researcher and founder of Peak Prosperity.
The bankers and financiers are badly overplaying their hands again. And people are starting to catch on to the scam. Real wealth is tangible things produced with tangible effort. Loans made out of thin air money require no effort and are entirely ephemeral. But if those loans are used to acquire real ownership of real assets, then something has been exchanged for nothing. And one party is getting screwed.
Steve Keen, 20th century Australian economist and author, Associate Professor of Economics at University of Western Sydney.
If you look at mainstream economics, there are three things you will not find in a mainstream economic model: banks, debt, and money.
Charles Edward Colin was a Canadian-American Catholic priest and political activist based in the United States. He was dubbed the radio priest and considered a leading rebel rouser. During the 1930s, he was one of the first political leaders to use radio to reach a mass audience.
The fact that bankers insist on defending their immoral, fractional reserve money ratio system is the greatest crime on a worldwide scale against man and society.
Leon N. Tolstoy, novelist and short story writer.
Money is a new form of slavery, and distinguishable from the old simply by the fact that it is impersonal, that there is no human relation between master and slave.
Who should be creating money, the government or banks? Abraham Lincoln.
The government should create, issue, and circulate all the currency and credits needed to satisfy the spending power of the government and the buying power of consumers. By the adoption of these principles, the taxpayers will be saved immense sums of interest. Money will cease to be master and become the servant of humanity.
Thomas Jefferson.
The issuing power of money should be taken from the banks and restored to the people, to whom it properly belongs.
So how much power does the banking interests actually have over government? Abraham Lincoln.
I have two great enemies, the Southern Army in front of me, and the bankers in the rear. Of the two, the one at my rear is my greatest foe.
Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of France, 1815.
When a government is dependent upon bankers for money, they and not the leaders of the government control the situation, since the hand that gives is above the hand that takes. Money has no motherland, financiers are without patriotism and without decency, their sole object is gain.
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
The real truth of the matter is, as you and I know, that a financial element in the large centers has owned the government ever since the days of Andrew Jackson.
More proof banks are the main creators of money and debt. Thomas Edison, an American inventor, scientist and businessman whose inventions include the electric light bulb, the phonograph, and the motion picture camera.
People who will not turn a shovel full of dirt on the project nor contribute a pound of material, will collect more money from the United States than will the people who supply all the material and do all the work. This is the terrible thing about interest, but here is the point: if the nation can issue a dollar bond, it can issue a dollar bill. The element that makes the bond good makes the bill good also. The difference between the bond and the bill is that the bond lets the money broker collect twice the amount of the bond and an additional 20%. Whereas the currency, the honest sort provided by the Constitution, pays nobody but those who contribute in some useful way. It is absurd to say our country can issue bonds and cannot issue currency. Both are promises to pay, but one fattens the usurer and the other helps the people. If the currency issued by the people were no good, then the bonds would be no good either. It is a terrible situation when the government, to ensure the national wealth, must go in debt and submit to ruinous interest charges at the hands of men who control the fictitious value of gold.
Professor Richard Werner, born in Germany in 1967, who holds a first-class honors Bachelor of Science degree in economics from the London School of Economics, and a doctorate in economics from the University of Oxford. He actually went to a bank, proved that the loan money they were giving him did not originate from any customer's account.
In the process of making loaned money available in the borrower's bank account, it was found that the bank did not transfer the money away from other internal or external accounts, resulting in a rejection of both the fractional reserve theory and the financial intermediation theory. Instead, it was found that the bank newly invented the funds by crediting the borrower's account with a deposit, although no such deposit had taken place. This is in line with the claims of the credit creation theory. Thus, it can now be said with confidence, for the first time possibly in the 5,000 years history of banking, that it has been empirically demonstrated that each individual bank creates credit and money out of nothing, when it extends what is called a bank loan. The bank does not loan any existing money, but instead creates new money. The money supply is created as fairy dust produced by the banks out of thin air. The implications are far-reaching.
Thanks for watching.